open Quickr for Westford Portal, we immediately see our public places. We also see our list of our favorites. Now typically you're going to use the tag cloud or the owner cloud to quickly locate a particular public place or community that you want to access. Now we've accessed the community that was set up in the previous video, and this is the one for the project to try to pick 3D TVs and determine the marketplace and pricing for that. Now as a manager of this, I can change the properties of the folder, including setting access to who can see it, restricting it further than who can actually join the team space. There are several ways to upload files into the repository. One way is just to drag and drop a file from your desktop or file system directly onto the gray area, and then it will upload and read in all the properties and present that to anyone that has access to the library there. So there's our document on the Mississippi 3D TV. If you hover over the file, you'll actually see a quick thumbnail of some information. Now once we open the document, we can see a number of options here. We can download the file, we can edit the document, edit properties about the document, we can replace it with a new file, folks can make comments, can preview it, and also see all the previous versions of a particular file and download them if necessary, or certainly take a look at them. There are some additional actions that can be taken on documents. One obvious is to check it out, to make changes to it so nobody else is making changes to it. You can also set access, much like a folder. You can restrict access to certain individuals. You can copy it, move it, convert it, and even clear out all the comments if you have the right manager access. Now, an individual can subscribe to the document so that they'll know if there are any changes or updates to the document, and this will just ask you to pick your feed reader that you use. Like in my case, I'm using the feed reader that comes with the browser, and now anytime there's an update, I'll get a notification in my feed read listing that there was an update, and I can go to it immediately. You can quickly see, you can see the new indicator, so anything added in the last day will show up with the new. I can also upload files using the upload button, where I just browse to the file, and much in the same manner as the drag and drop, it uploads it into the repository. I can also change some characteristics. So if I want to put this file through workflow, I can choose the workflow that I set up previously in the first video, and now it will have to be approved before it can actually be published. So I will now submit it for approval. I also could save it as a private working draft if I chose to before submitting it to approval. There are various views. I can see my working drafts. I can see all working drafts if I have that level of access. I can see those that have been submitted for approval, and also those that were submitted as drafts. So I'm taking and selecting that particular document that was just submitted for approval, and I'm going to approve it so that now it will be for public viewing in the library. I can also look at views, and views will cover a little bit more, but I can have shared views that everyone can use, and also personal views. Now I'm looking at a view of all documents. Again, a thumbnail shows me properties about the document, and I can actually preview a document without having to actually have the particular desktop application installed on my system. So for example, this is an Excel spreadsheet, and I can see all three tabs. I can see all the data in all the cells, and I don't have to have Office installed to see it in the preview. And so if I'm traveling and trying to use a shared terminal from a hotel or library or some other public site, I can have access to the documents to make comments, suggestions, approvals, etc. One can also comment on documents. In fact, that's encouraged. And so when you add a comment, it brings up a rich text editor, and these comments will be shared and viewed by everybody. I can also view the properties as associated with the repository, but also any properties that were brought in from the desktop tool that was used to create the file. So I'm seeing all the Office metadata as well. Again, I have ability to check out the document. At any time, I can see a link. That can be a link to a particular document, could be a link to a particular folder. It allows me to copy and paste that link, put it in an email, and send it to somebody. There's also a search facility, so if I want to look for all the documents that had the word Mitsubishi in it, I can do a search on that, and it'll come back with the result set. And I can download, clicking on the down arrow, that icon that's on each document, or I could open the document and choose the download option. There's also the ability to create new documents, whether it's with the Office suite, with the Open Docs suite, or with the rich text editor. So here I'm actually going to create a document using the rich text editor. I'm going to change the location that I'm going to store it. I'm going to put it in the market analysis folder, and then I'm going to just go ahead and create it, and it will then pop up a full rich text editor where I can use colors and bolding, italics, format it to the appropriate level, just like any word processor. I can include images, hyperlinks, pretty much about 80% of the function that most of us use on a day-to-day basis with a word processor is in the rich text editor. Here I'm bolding the text, and now I'm going to actually add a URL link or a hyperlink to a website. Now, one option I do have is I can check the box so that when the user clicks the link, it'll actually open a new window. Otherwise, it'll just open it in the window that you're working in. And then finally I save my document, and now my document will be stored in the repository. Now I'm going to go ahead and check it in versus saving it as a private working draft. If I chose the workflow type, then it could have gone through the approval process, but since I'm a manager, I just went ahead and checked it in. There's the document that I just created. I'm also can create a view which is basically a collection of documents, and this is important because a lot of times you have files that are related to one another that are necessary to make some decision. There may be some spreadsheets with some Word documents to basically look at the collection of documents in order to render a decision or make an evaluation. And so we can create a view for that collection and set a condition set that any documents in the repository that meet that set of conditions will be returned in this collection or view. And so the nice thing is, as you add documents that meet that condition, it automatically becomes a part of that collection. In this case, I'm just going to add a very simple condition where if the title contains the word market, it's going to include those documents in this collection, and I'm going to share it with all users versus just a private view. So now when I go to views, to the shared views, I see this collection that I just created. Now in this case it's just one document. Typically it'd be documents that would be viewed here. The nice thing is I can act on this collection, whether it's printing it, copying it, moving it, checking it out, whatever it is, I can act on the collection as a whole.